the sun. Different stories, but with a common goal. Building bridges, filling up our soul. Every student matters, every dream takes flight. Together we'll shine, we'll reach new heights. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, in the school we're united, we're all one. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, in the school we're united, we're all one. In the classroom, we come together as one, learning lessons, reaching for the sun. Different stories, but with a common goal. Building bridges, filling up our soul. Every student matters, every dream takes flight. Together we'll shine, we'll reach new heights. Classroom, we come together as one, learning lessons, reaching for, oh yeah, different stories, but with a common goal. Building bridges, filling up our souls. Every student matters, every dream takes flight. Together we'll shine, we'll reach new heights. Teachers and students in every seat. With love and education we'll make our stand. 'Cause every student matters in this land. In this land.
Welcome everyone. The live stream. It's Sunday night, 9 p.m. in China, Beijing time. Thank you so much on Instagram. I can see a lot of people there. Welcome everyone. I can see a message. Don't forget to leave your message in the chat. Hope you guys doing good. It's been quite a long time. Uh, Today we're gonna be talking about special education. And, last time we had last live stream, I was alone. We were talking about AI, how it can help you in your class. And that right after the live, someone came to me. Her name is Daisy. She came and she asked me, Mike, I want to talk about something. I want to talk about what I'm doing right now. I'm doing a master in special education. And I said, yes, why not? We never had that topic on the ESL live stream. And of course, if all of you wants to share your experience, I'm all for that. That's really awesome. So today we're gonna welcome Daisy. She is gonna talk about special education. You feel free to ask a question, and we'll see what is that special education about it. Just saying a little hello to the people in the chat. Thank you. Big shout out to Pavel Paul. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We got Bezia. Are you going to teach us those left-list pronouns for some genders? All right. Thank you for being here, guys. Feel free to leave your comment into the description. But now we're going to welcome my dear co host, Stu from Teffa Lemon. Right
now, let's welcome Stu from Teffa Lemon.
Hello, Mike.
Yeah. Well,
Everybody,
hi, Stu. How
how's
are
it
you
going?
doing?
Yeah, going really well. It's been a busy weekend. I've been dashing around everywhere. I had family going back for
Yeah.
some kind of function, so we had to look after our nephew all week. And so, yeah, it's good to finally get a bit of normality, or beginning to.
Yes, that's the busy life of a teacher.
It never stops, does it? It never stops. Just like you're busy in the classroom, you're busy planning, and as soon as you leave the school, more stuff happens. So yeah, never stops
Yeah,
life.
when you get kids and all stuff, same for me. Education go on at home.
Oh,
All right, let's see. Hello. Some people already know. I can see. Yeah, but yeah, thank you. What we got? Yay! He say Daisy the best. All right, so we're not gonna wait anymore. Let's welcome Daisy, not from Tefal Lemon, but let's welcome Daisy. Welcome, Daisy. Thank you so much for
Hi
being here.
guys. Hello.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
thank you,
having me for
Daisy.
sure.
You're very
I have
welcome.
to say my background is thank you so much for having me. Just to start off my background is good you put me in the middle so it looks good.
Yes,
no, it's
you
good.
know,
No, you're looking great. It's perfect.
Same
you
here.
know.
Nice seeing you Stu and Mike. Yeah.
Oh, we can change. There's no problem on the top or wherever.
Say,
That's
it's
or
it's
What
Stewie
Mike's
in
over
confirmation.
front.
here?
It,
Technology.
it's yes. So it's finally we have a woman guest with us too. Isn't that good? Huh?
Absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Us guys don't know
Yeah.
anything. we,
Great point.
we need some experts on.
That's great
All
point,
right.
Mike.
Welcome. So Daisy, so you came to me last week and you say, "Yeah, I'd love to talk about special education." Well, it's very wide. I think it's something really big. It's difficult for maybe some teacher to understand what is special education. But before we dive into that subject, can you please introduce yourself to everyone so that everyone can know you a bit better?
Of course. I'm Daisy. I am Canadian here in China for the past 5 years. It has been a great experience for me teaching in China for different reasons. And while I was pursuing my career as a teacher, I came across this program for special education, and it was time for me to actually update my teaching skills because I felt like I used up all my knowledge about teaching in the classroom, and I'm like, I don't have anything new. So I felt like I need to go back to school to update my skills, to learn what is the new knowledge out there. And it is so important for us to keep learning as teachers, because I realized there's so much new research going on about very different topics related to education. I had no idea if I didn't get into my master's program, and I'm like, how could I teach without knowing all this? So I think we need some master's degree to be teaching. And the problem here in China, mostly I find, or some other countries too, maybe, that is we most of the teachers are not coming from education background in terms of their BAs, and like the English teachers especially, we need this. Like I needed this to make myself a better teacher, because the main reason for me to be a teacher is to serve the community, and this is number one reason I'm doing this job. But this is the very short introduction I can give you. It can go longer, but that's all I have to say. If you have any further questions, let me know.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So can you explain a little bit what is special education to make it clear? Because you're doing a master in
Mhm.
special education, right?
Right. So my master's
What
is,
is this all about?
of course, let me tell you. So
Thank you.
I'm doing my master's in education, especially specifically focused on in special education. I mean, to give like a not a textbook definition, but actually we all know what is it one way or another, because I'm sure we all have a student in our classrooms, or we had this experience with a student that we label them as challenging, or like some behavioral issues. So most of the children, they go unlabeled, or like without receiving the need they have. They because it is hard for parents to accept that this is something with their child. There's I will talk about this later, but special education, actually, we are everybody's on the spectrum, right? Like we all have something going on with our mental health, but it's not just mental, it can be developmental delays, it can be some reading difficulties actually, and these students are actually in every classroom. They don't need to be called special, but they're we are and we are all special in a way too. So this is something called neurodiversity in the field. We talk about this, like we all have different wide range, right? So we all come from different stories, different things happen to us, but at the end of the day, it's just, so this is about more how I can help each student in my classroom in a way that is actually feasible, because we have many challenges. We have crowded classrooms, we have limited time, we are human too, right? Like I
Exactly.
am
Yeah.
fast, but I, yes, I am a super person, but still I'm limited in many ways. But there are some ways to come around with of these problems. But you don't need a textbook definition for special education. It's just like we all have special needs, and it is important to just have an open mind about this, and just you need to be a
Yeah.
little maybe.
Yeah. I guess it's really different because, as far as I know, me and Stu, we've been teaching in primary school with a lot of kids in the classroom, and we had some students who had disabilities, and we were like, but what are they doing here? I mean, they should go to special school. And I had that parents in the back of my class, and I asked her why your kid is why you come all the time in the classroom. I was like, and try to understand. And she said, because in Xi'an, especially in Xi'an where we're living, there are no special school for kids who are not completely, I mean, disabled. I think they are, half half. So there are very few schools who can provide this kind of education. What do you know about this in China? Because
Absolutely.
you are in we are in Xi'an here. How about you? You where is it
I'm
you are in?
I'm in Ningbo
I
at the
forgot.
moment.
Oh yeah,
I'm in
Ningbo.
Ningbo.
That's right.
However, that's a very good question because uh, the law is usually that that we have something called like least restricted environment. That means actually the students they have but under law they have the right to be educated in general education, like general with the normal kids. So there are many problems with this because most of the time, again, like the lack of tools and resources because these children, it depends on the level, of course, and the student. So we have individualized education plans for each child if you actually add this special needs
Interesting.
child in the general education class. So
Yeah.
they may come with the parents because you need
Yeah.
that extra assistant to keep the child in place or ready for learning because the teacher's job is number one to teach the subject or whatever the content they come to teach. So we they may come with a special assistant. It doesn't have to be a parent. Maybe that the parent is serving the position of this administrative support. Normally, it may be given like in USA. That's how it is done. You will have a trained assistant to be with that child to serve the needs. Sometimes it can be just physical because they cannot take notes or they cannot just uh, I don't know like see something. So it is not a straight. There's no straightforward answer. It is kind of messy, but it is. There are ways, but first of all, you must be willing to do something for them or to include everybody. But yeah, there are many points to talk about when we are talking about the scenario you just talked about.
Got it. Yeah. So I think that's a really good broad kind of introduction to some of the challenges that I think all teachers have, right? And I think sooner or later you're going to come across things like ADHD. You're going to come across like dyslexia,
Or
autism, like a whole huge spectrum of very different and unique needs that children have. And I think you're in Ningbo. I was in Xi'an for a very, very long time. I understand China very well, and you've got lots of cultural problems as well, where there's a denial often from parents that their child has some kind of special needs, and there will be a denial from parents, and they don't really want to kind of accept that their child is different in some way.
or
You've got to kind of overcome that as well. In my last job, I was in China. There was a boy in a bilingual school I worked at, a very severe autism. And he was just in with everyone else, and he had special needs, and it was difficult for him, and it was difficult for the other students who had to kind of learn with him in the room. It was very difficult, so it's
yeah.
challenging for teachers. So I've got a question for you, Daisy. So what would be one of the hardest parts for teaching students who have some kind of special need in your class, and what kind of advice would you give to teachers who are watching this live stream? What could they do?
Absolutely. I think the biggest challenge, again, like you mentioned, are having the tough conversation with the parents because the children, now I'm in a kindergarten at the moment. So you see, these things were also kind of, they go without being either realized or like the teacher will just ignore that child and focus on the rest of the class. So many things are happening, but the toughest thing for me, and by the way, I'm not a special education specialist at the moment because I'm still pursuing my career and I still have 5 more courses to complete my master's, but like I'm halfway done. So on top of that, my experience in the regular general education classroom was that we had a child with a special needs, and the conversation with the parents were tough because they just completely said that their child was very normal in the house. This child is an angel. They couldn't believe this is their child, etc. But of course, like more you peel the layers, you get to a stage where actually they are not saying what is the truth. And we understand that, especially in China, the culture is more like, the exam culture we have here. Like the child has to win the exam or like somehow be successful academically. But this is not the end. These students or children, they need our help. Number one, so we have to stop with that. Like just because the parents, it's a community. It takes a whole village to raise a child. Like I am one person, and as a teacher, I will, of course, I will advocate for the child, but I need the parents and the school and the community on board. And actually, I have to say that China is doing a good job in terms of special education, because they are very up to laws, international laws. They are just like any other country doing as good job as other countries. So China, I was very impressed to read some research about Chinese laws and how they do in China. They are very up to date. They do have the same similar schools and systems in place for, assessment and all this. It's just sometimes I think the hardest is to manage the parents to get on board with you to go forward, because they refuse to take the child to a specialist to get
Oh
assessed
yeah.
or have that name, and it is scary for them. And then I understand their part too, but the sooner you pass this stage, it means earlier you can have the child, because it's nothing different than it's nothing. It means nothing. Like there's no normal, and so these are the things, the perceptions to fight and culture, but not
Yeah.
every parent is
Yeah.
like that too. So it's a
Yeah.
bit cultural, as you said, also the perception of the parents. So mostly it's not the child, honestly, that is tough for me
Yeah.
to do it, but
Uh,
it's
I
everything
think
else.
there's always yeah, I was always saying I always say that there's no best education. There's the right education. That's the
Hmm.
most important thing. And yes, to the students, it's very important to. I think it's also environmental. I think exactly maybe. And yeah, interesting point I want to ask you is how about the teaching methods? Do you use teaching methods like maybe we would use in kindergarten, the same doing actions? Because I know some students might be afraid of you.
Hmm.
I don't know their reaction. It's for me. I had a couple of disabled students in my class, but they were fine. They were okay. But I know that for students who are maybe have a very severe disability, it can be more difficult to teach in a classroom. So, do you have special teaching methods, to help the students, and how you make sure you're teaching in a way that's good for everyone?
Of course, actually, that's a great question. I mean, it doesn't have to be the special education. It can be, this strategies can be used any, like, because again, you don't, everybody is special. Like we all have different neurotype. We are neural, like pathway wise, like we are different. We are all different. We all have different problems. So when you bring all these children in a classroom, what you can do the best is something called differentiated instruction. That is like you make sure your style is really covering
Oh,
all the number one learning styles. You can add some multi-sensory approach in there, some collaborative learning, because again, if you think about it, once you put all these children together, you have a group of students with different strengths and weaknesses. So you can pair them in a way that they're teaching each other. So again, as a teacher, you can do so much. You don't have to do everything. So you have to be a little smart. So for example, if you are teaching, I don't know, anything, a team. So you can make it in a way that you give children options in terms of tasks or activities, so they can choose what they kind of like. And it is important, I think, when you go in there, you want to be teaching, number one, like you
Yeah.
So the differentiated instruction is everything. In addition, like you read the assessment, I think one thing is the biggest problem. What I observed, not just my classroom, including me, but with other teachers' classrooms that I observed, the assessment is a big problem. Like we do not know who are our students, and sometimes the system doesn't allow us because I go into a classroom for 40 minutes. I don't know these children so much. If you're not a homeroom teacher, you do not have this organic connection with the child. So you may need some collaboration between, but again, it's a big task to do too. So I think, again, and it always comes back to the training of the teachers. Like we are lacking this training from the beginning. We do not know how to teach in many ways. It took me a few years to figure out how to teach or what was going on in like educational settings. And with this master's degree, and again, like you need to go back. And if you do not have an education like tools, like if you need education related either BA or masters, so just make sure like you do not teach for just one child, and just get creative with your thinking and really study the articles, the what is out there. There are technology involved teachings, like we were talking about AI. Actually, that's what caught my attention, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
okay, let's text Mike because AI is the feature. Like I'm coming across these articles for my assignment paper. They talk about AI based tutoring.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Can they replace us or something? So these things are happening, and it is so exciting, and we have to catch up. Like we have to update ourselves,
Exactly.
and it's time. Like this is, and it's gonna be so fast. You are not gonna know what hit you once you are outdated as a teacher because you didn't keep up. So again,
True.
going back, training, study, research, and also like this has to be your career. You are not doing this for the money, and I really think you cannot do this job for the money. If you don't love it, you must be really miserable. That's all I
Mm.
have to say about that. But again, differentiated instruction. Make sure you are adding so many multi-sensory approaches. It has to be fun. Obviously, it doesn't matter if you're teaching adults. It has to capture their attention. It has to be something full of energy. So a few many things together, but it's very feasible once you get this your it to be your routine. It gets easier, and actually you enjoy because it is successful.
Yeah, you said so. What you just had to say there, it makes so much sense. It's essential for any teacher to do assessment. Going into
That's
your class, you need to be summatively assessing your
absolutely,
students. You need to be formatively summative, and keeping a
absolutely,
record of everything. Just really understanding your
absolutely.
students, right? And it helps you to teach better. It improves your teaching. It improves learning outcomes. Absolutely everything. And look, one of the reasons you said that you took on the masters because you felt you were stagnating and you wanted to improve yourself, right? And something I would really suggest that all teachers watching this go out and do is to check out something called the European Profiling Grid. And what that
Mm,
is free. You just register and you basically answer questions on your based upon your own skills and reviews on your own skills. And at the end, you come up with a table, and it will I basically suggest areas that you can improve in. So it might be you feel that you're a bit weak in observation, you feel you're a bit weak in organisation, management, some kind of pedagogical approaches that you have. So basically, by doing the European profiling grid, you can identify areas of your own weakness and then go and fill in the gaps in your own knowledge by doing stuff like that. What you've done.
so actually, it was one of the modules that I just covered in my course. It's called the teacher self-efficacy. They were talking about how the teachers are feeling about themselves as a teacher to be able to handle this tough situations or teaching in general. So absolutely so important for us teachers to know who we are as teachers. Before you get to your students, you have to make sure you have what you are giving something like that. So self-assessment all the time. And actually, I started something called like a journal. Like at the end of the day, I kind of write down, like just jot down a few things, just remind myself for the future what worked, what didn't work, what can be better, or just anything that was inspiring or not inspiring. It- just self-reflection and to be better, not just as a
Yeah.
teacher, but being in general too.
It's like keeping a reflective diary,
Mhm.
of like a self-reflection diary is something all teachers should do.
Totally,
Just
but
stand back and look back on it. What went right? What went wrong? What would I do differently next time? What kind of things would I add? What things I'd take away? How could I differentiate the class a little bit differently? So yeah, you've hit it on the head there with reflection. I've actually got a question for you about um, when you talked about differentiation in the classroom, making sure activities are different. How would you kind of balance like the learning needs of your students with the kind of emotional needs that they may have if they have some kind of like learning special learning need?
again, really, I think really the most important thing is you to have your own health, like mental health. Like the teacher has to be emotionally healthy to be able to do that. So that takes a certain way of thinking about living this life. Like you gotta figure out the art of living, because if you cannot deal with all these little things going on day to day basis with your students, and it's not just your teaching. You have all this like academic paperwork you have to do, you have to maintain relationships, your personal life. So number one, you have to take care of yourself. But that comes back to, again, really, I cannot say this enough, and I will repeat it at every question you're asking me, is that you've got to go back to learning, because the tools you have, the knowledge you have becomes your power. So when you're facing these moments that you need to help this child's emotional needs, you know what you may do or what is happening. So that's number one thing. It's very important. You've got to make sure you are healthy as a person. And if you're not healthy, take a moment, ask for help, ask your colleagues how they are doing. So we need that conversation started between us. I think this is lacking between us teachers. We are not talking to each other about education. We need more education related conversation all the time. And this is one thing. And secondly, of course, you need the environment, like Mike mentioned it. Because if the child is acting out, it's not the child, probably the environment they're in is not working for them. So you have to make sure the environment you have these children in is the right environment for them. So if like I also grew up with this exam based educational system, and it was terrible because I would hear my parents comparing me to X and Y. I'm good, I'm bad. Like these things, we need a change. Come on, this is we are going into 22nd century. 20, even 21st century is almost ending. Like we need new conversations. We need to say something fresh, something new, and stop bothering these children to win an exam. It's just, I think it's just still the case. I cannot understand that very well. And finally, honestly, I will just say the environment and plus the self-efficacy of the children and just collaboration. You cannot do this on your own. You need to go out there, make sure the parents are with you. And there are tools. Just be a better researcher about what you're dealing, but that also takes for you to be like you are you are a teacher. Like this is what is supposed to be done. And when I say these things, it is nothing new. Actually, this is how it has been done by the good teachers.
Mm,
So there is some catching up to do to help these children emotionally. But these are the few things I will say. Like the environment at home is also very important, and education of the parents. And so we are in it together for the students to become not only academically but in life becoming successful in life, because I think a happy child is good enough they don't have to be rocket scientists. So just as long as they're happy and balanced and healthy member of our society, I think that's a good enough job done.
Yeah, yeah. It's really
Great.
nice that you kind of talked about the mental health side of the teacher as well in that. Not just kind of help. You can't help guide students and without looking after yourself first, right?
Of course,
I
like
had
physical
a
anything.
yes, it's great. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I had a little question. Maybe people would be interested in that one. Can you share a story about a special needs student facing a challenge in your class? And what did you do to help? Because we sometimes we all been in the I in my class. I can tell one of my story I had in the class. That was something. And you don't know what to do, and obviously you don't want to do something wrong, do it the wrong way. So yes, can you please share a little story about a special needs students who's facing challenge in your class, and what you did to help?
All right, so honestly, now I'm thinking about a few stories. So I'm not going to tell a specific story, but I will just highlight
Yeah,
some like the special common points in most of the stories that and I'm sure we all have this. And again, these children do not come to us as presented here is a child with special needs. No, they're kind of coming to you and they are kind of labeled as being challenging or not willing to learn or they don't care. And sometimes I see some level of depression even like the age of 4. I was like, oh my god. So this when this happens, you again go back, you gotta go back on. I think it starts in the family. Education starts in the family. I cannot stress enough the importance of having the family working with you because we have we have some success stories when the families are accepting. Yes, we have this problem and we are helpless. We do not know how to help that child. Help us. When they say that to us, we are so happy because we want to help. We want to share some few things that can be tweaked and made it better for the child. So again, it's not like so much a specific story to tell, but it is mostly I can tell the stories of the families. We should stop really talking about the child. We should start talking about the families, the family structure, and it is all related to that money as usual type of life we're having. Really, we gotta go back to the roots and go back to the beginning of time or whatever. This is not to be poetic, but I'm a big advocate for going back to the roots of us, who we are. Like, gotta remember, we are not here to just a 9 to 5 go make money, spend. This is just getting out of hand, and it is unfortunately on the shoulders of the children today. That's what I'm saying. So, for me, wanting to help, the number one thing you can do is to help the family, to help their child. So, if you can do nothing, and actually this most of the time does solve the problem. So I think you gotta make sure there's a way to deal with the family's environment, attitude, training,
Well, we might have lost Daisy.
yes. Daisy, I think.
I'm back, I think
Yes.
yes.
Hello.
You're
So
back. Okay,
that I
that's good.
think that
That's good.
is sufficient. Yes, I'm back.
Yeah, so
Welcome back.
people were yeah, people
Thank
were
you, yes.
asking where to find you. So I'm gonna
Yes,
I
I checked
answer
my LinkedIn.
on
Yes,
LinkedIn.
that's correct. LinkedIn is good.
Daisy's
Sanja.
Senkai, right? Sorry.
Sanja. There's a Turkish last name. It's a long story, but that's for another podcast maybe.
Yeah, okay.
You're from Turkey, are you, Daisy?
I have triple citizenship actually. because you asked, I was born in Istanbul, but my family is Serbian, so Serbian, Turkish, Canadian. Yes,
Got it.
I
Yeah,
am a
That's a
I
mix.
just got a holiday yesterday. I'm going to Turkey, yeah, in the summer.
really. We should
First time,
talk
yeah.
later. I have your
I-
WeChat. You can ask me your questions if you need help or anything.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Actually, I've got another. I've got a question actually that I want to ask. So yeah, like I mentioned in my last job, there was a student there with quite severe autism, and he would have outbursts, and he would scream very loudly when you weren't ready for it, and a lot of the other children in the class, they'd get annoyed with him, and I guess the teacher tried to be patient and tried to teach understanding from the other students, but it was difficult for the other students. So, what kind of advice would you give for teachers who want to try to get the students to be more of a community, and so that the student with special needs doesn't feel like such an outsider? How to help to integrate the student?
Yes, actually, I heard of these stories, and like most of the things that I'm touching upon in terms of the profile, like the examples of the students I had, I am trying to keep them kind of light because they're not necessarily autistic. My stories I gave you, but I know the stories as well. In this case, actually, one story I heard is that this child is going half day to the special training centers where they kind of learn certain skills, and they definitely need this help. This child cannot, like, it's good to have them in the general education classrooms. However, if it is not working for the child and the rest of the children, it is also not the best idea. I mean, because you have to understand the history of the evolving history of the laws. The law was before the special education need kids would put in institutions like mental hospitals, and they were living under really poor conditions. So from this medical point of view to today, like now more human rights type of thinking about this. So there is this misconnection between the real needs. So you cannot solve a child's problem when you put them in the general education classroom if they need some certain special needs. So for that, actually, there are some really good centers. You have to get your school involved in this situation because China again has great laws, and they are just up to date with international law. So they are offering the help to these children. But again, if the parents are not willing to take this step, the schools also have some limited power to make it happen, because I assume like if you're in USA and you have that child, you would get involved authorities to make this kind of look into to for some action to be taken, right? But in China, it's like little gray area because so just the cultural differences there, but probably this child needs to go to have some extra help, and they need this. It's not. It's like you gotta have this. It's nothing right or wrong, good or bad. Like this is what it is. So I would really suggest you got to get some professionals involved in that situation because this just child is they need it. So not to give it, not to satisfy this need is actually not a good idea. Like you gotta involve the specialist, and actually in Shanghai, and I'm sure every city has it, but I'm involved with one of a great group of people who are special education center in Shanghai. They're called ELG, and I'm also connected with them. So they do a lot of great PD days. Like I was in Shanghai just 2 weeks ago, and the owner, Miss Sherry, she is American but living in China. They are so helpful and useful, and there are many people out there. Just go find your tribe. And another thing I want to say last about this question is that this child needs to find his tribe. Like, because in this ELG school in Shanghai PD Day, they were talking about you gotta pair these kids with their own tribe. Like, you gotta find a normal, like, general education student. Like, you gotta connect these special needs students with from someone who can somehow have similar interests. Maybe they like to play with dinosaurs or something. So some common interests, you gotta build their tribe. So you gotta find this special needs students, they need to find their own tribe. If in addition to getting the professional help in the classroom, you can maybe make sure they have a friend that share the same similar interests. That's something also I learned from this ELG school PD day. So that was really great for me to use in the classroom.
Yeah, that's great advice about trying to find like someone who might have a similar interest or something, whether it be comics or particular kind of toy TV show or something, and get them
Hmm.
working together, and that will help them to into not like the one. Everyone's here and that one student's just here.
You
So
don't, yes,
start.
they are often isolated because they do not have the
Yes.
skills. But once you have a like not not special needs student plus the special needs student, like they can, I'm sure they're still children, like you can still work
Yeah.
together, something commonality. So instead of isolating the students, and often also it comes from the teacher's perception too, because the children are observant, like they, if they see their teacher thinking this child is difficult, even like a rolling their eyes, kids see that, right? So
Oh,
many things are going on in the background of this scenario, but these two things, especially the professional help plus find their own tribe within the classroom.
Who did you say that was ELG in Shanghai? Was it?
ELG, actually, I don't know how to share. Maybe I can find their log and send you here somewhere. But they're amazing bunch of people. I couldn't believe how great they are. Like I have been in many groups so far. They're amazing. Let me quickly check them out. But
And
I'll
then
provide.
the PD things that they put on, is that in house there in Shanghai, or do they have webinars or something that people could see?
Yes, I don't know if you can. I don't know if this is like this is their logo, ELG, literally. And if anybody's interested, just they can find me on LinkedIn as I shared. Then I can connect them. But they're very useful and they're doing amazing job and they are very professional and they are like coming from special education specifically. They have psychologists and they're not like a school but like a training school type of thing. I would suggest you to follow them and they come to their PD next time because they also
Mm.
go to schools to train teachers if the schools are inviting them, etc. So they give many services, and I was like, wow, that's really committed work.
Yeah, that'd be such a good thing for teachers out there watching
oh,
this live stream
exactly.
to do. It's like just self training, right? Like, there's no one to train me in my school about the special
Exactly.
Absolutely,
needs. I
that
need
is
to take the
right.
onus on me now. How can I find out? How can I develop this area that I don't have yet, but I want to have
Again,
this area, right?
you gotta find your own tribe. That's
Yeah.
really something I took from them, and we all need to find our tribe. So I'm glad to have them.
True.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Finding his
try
own
that.
tribe. Yeah, we got to check up. So for example, I want to. I mean, is not only like Stu was asking you. There are special trainings for that. I mean, you don't need to do a master. If I just want to have a PDs,
Of
is
course.
there? Do they provide like courses, or we have to go
Uh,
there?
you
For
know,
example, I'm in Xi'an, so
of course, exactly.
the-
They are sending a team of special education professionals to your school. Just your school needs to contact them to invite them, and they kind of come and they give all the seminars, and they're very useful. Like sometimes you learn these theories for hours, and like it's so boring. It's not like that. You sit down, and
okay.
it is all effective, efficient way of dealing with specific problems, and I was really impressed, and it's not like I was like, wow, you know what you're doing and what you're talking, and yeah, they are really a great resource. I can share I have their WeChat and everything, so we can talk more about them later. And actually, I can connect you to invite Miss Sherry here, like she's actually a doctor. She has a doctorate in PhD in special education. So you should definitely invite her next
Sure,
time.
that would be a good idea because
Absolutely.
I heard that we disable sorry, how is it, special education really needs teachers. There's a big need of teachers for special educations, which is quite
Absolutely.
very
It's funny you
uh,
mentioned. At the moment, I am in between jobs. Like I'm looking for a new job to change my school as sector. And when I sent my CV out, I received maybe at least 10 job offers that was only related to special education. I didn't take them because I'm still not graduated, but they still don't mind because nobody knows nothing, almost nothing about. I was like, wow, you know.
uh,
And it's
yeah,
sad because you need these teachers even in general education, classroom team somewhere somehow to educate, to step in, to do something. But again, but you don't have to do a master's just like me because of course there's a different commitment on my part. But there are so many courses out there, just online courses, free courses. Like before I began my special education, for me, one thing led to another. I was, for some reason, out of curiosity, I was looking for neurodiversity courses on Allison.com, all these like free educational websites. And I'm just saying, there's so much we can do. I really, if you think you're hopeless, you're thinking wrong about the problem. So we gotta change the way we are thinking, the way we are doing, the way we are talking. We gotta say new words. That's all I'm saying. That's my one sentence about the whole thing and education in general.
Daisy, it's so good to hear someone so positive come onto the ESL live
exactly.
stream. It's like your breath of fresh air. Like like a
True.
shot in the arm. You
Thank
know,
you so much. But trust me, day to day, I'm having so many like little problems. Like it's not like because I'm positive, like the problems are not there. Because again, I am sometimes fighting against the people that you are mentioning. Like they are everywhere. So I'm only one person. But the thing is, the ship doesn't sink because they don't let the water get in. So something like that. That's my motto in life. So I just keep going. But you know,
yeah, yeah. I think in China, they are really up to date with the laws and the policies and things like that.
yeah.
And maybe just on the ground itself, it needs to
Mm.
catch up, right?
But
Um,
to be honest, it's US is not different. Like I'm also studying like the different cases from the countries and my classmates. So it's an online program. Everybody's from the world and mostly in USA. And my university is involved in universities in USA. Oh my God, so many stories, so many problems, and I am studying. And again, something you said at the beginning of this podcast, Stu, that you said, or you said it, Mike, that I am kind of first female in on the show.
Yeah.
Those policymakers are all men. We need
Ah,
more. We need
okay.
more females involved, and
Ah,
it's a reality. Like not to be. I'm not against. It's not like that, but like we need
no,
some
I understand. Yeah.
presentation of ideas, and this is
yeah,
what makes it better for everybody. And I think it's also a big burden on the shoulders of the men to be making all the laws. So let us help you to get your you know
True.
workload. But I'm just saying, even in my school we have like in the foreign team, like there are only two, I and another friend, the rest is male. I'm like, what is going on?
mm,
Maybe I don't know. Something interesting you said caught my attention because it's just something, maybe because I'm a female. That's maybe my misperception. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but it is a conversation that we should have more often and involve different perspectives, and not just like gender, different age groups too. Because I'm working with young people, they have totally different understanding, and older people different, and the parents are from different age groups. Like there's really certain nuanced way of thinking
mm.
because
I,
something is
Yeah.
not working, and I'm trying to find why it is not working and how to make it better. So
Yeah, there definitely needs to be way more diversity in education.
Diversity, yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
yeah, there's not enough females in making policy.
Not
Um,
just in gender, but
not
many things.
not nearly enough, you know.
Diversity.
Yeah, so no, you're very right on that, and it would if there were more female people making these policies, you know, or just putting in input, you know, just it would improve.
So many things are happening. So China for sure, but it is also international. It is something, and it's quite
That's
new.
what I heard.
This is just happening after
Yeah.
Second World War. Like
Mm.
they just, the world is just new to the special education, and I was so
Oh,
surprised
really?
to understand it is.
Okay.
Before, as I said, like I can share you some resources later, like some articles which talks about the evolution of the laws. And before it was like institutions, like you will keep these children in mental health cycle wards to be like, you know what I mean, like it's not that long ago, you know.
Hey,
So yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
actually, Daisy, I've got a question I've just thought about, and so there's going to be loads of teachers watching this who may feel not being a doctor themselves, being a teacher, but just kind of they know right that one of their students has special needs. They've seen it, they've identified it. What would you do to advise those teachers to who would they talk to about their concerns?
That's a great question because this is something when I saw these children in my classroom, I'm like, oh my God, I need help. Number one, I don't know
Huh.
how to help them. I don't know what I'm facing. I don't know. And
Yeah.
it's dangerous to me too because like my behavior to them and I cannot stop them. They're dangerous to themselves. They're dangerous to the rest of the classroom and I'm dealing with kindergarten. And sometimes I speak English and sometimes I have to stop them, but because they don't understand me, I have to physically stop them, but it's not also okay. So so much is going on in that situation. So I
Sure. You got
understand
to be everywhere. You got to be
the
everywhere. It
it's
should be
everywhere.
really tiresome. I can't imagine.
Absolutely. And imagine that child is in your classroom 724, you need some solution to that.
True,
So,
true.
like the first time you ever see that, you need to document that. Like you have to record every little thing because in special education, in almost every course I am taking, they all talk about documentation. You need to document the date,
Yeah.
what you saw, what it was. You need this written form of what who you talked to, what did they say, and then because
And their
you are
behavior.
their behavior, but also who you talk to. You talk to your principal, you talk about this, no, no, no.
True.
And
Yeah.
then nothing is done. What do you do? Like how many times you go and
Yeah.
like sometimes your support is not there and something happens to child or somehow you have to hold the child and they see it on the camera and they're like, oh my God, I told you so many times, like, it can get again, like you are human too. Like lots of things are happening. Not
True.
you meant to do anything wrong to the child, but like, oh, you know how it looks on the camera for 3 seconds and your whole career is in a weird place. Like this happens all the time. So I think documentation is everything. Like so when if God forbid something happens, number one, documentation, document everything. Number
Trainings.
two,
Yeah.
obviously you're gonna make some noise. Number one, this noise is not only for you but to advocate for the child. The advocacy for these children is so important. Like but to do that you have to have the right attitude about the situation because
True.
it's not
Yeah.
like they cannot learn. They're in the wrong environment. Okay,
Mm.
they shouldn't be forced to sit in a circle sitting 10, 15, 20 minutes doing nothing or listening to you or stuff like that. We all do that. This is
Oh.
working for most of the children but not for them. So if this is happening, that
Mm.
means the children are in the wrong environment, in the house, in the school. They just need to find their own tribe. To those teachers, the little advice I can give, and I'm humble, and again, I'm no one in that special education. Like I am just so early at my career, but I'm committed. So one thing I'm doing to protect myself, number one, because I have to, you know how it goes, document everything and ask help and just make noise and kind of. But this is the thing in China. Sometimes I see people like hushing it out, like shh, you know. Like the parents don't want to hear about it. They're like, and they think the school is not a place you send your child to stay. They are here to, but I cannot do this if your child is not ready to learn in terms of sleep. Like sometimes I see that lack of sleep in my students and they're 4 years old because the parents, I don't know what to tell you. Like, so we need a new conversation and new assignment of roles to parents, to administration. I don't know, like, and teachers. Sometimes
Communication.
I feel absolutely the communication is lacking, understanding and willing to understand. I think the education system needs a new phase. Like it needs revamp. Like to we need something new. That's all I'm saying. But document everything before when they see you in the camera for holding the child to stop because you cannot do anything and you are give like you are left alone to your destiny. At least you know what it is before, so you can show proof you tried and you are just at the end of your rope and you are on we are only humans. Come on, like I really think we
Yeah.
also like need some understanding from this higher people who wants to make more money. But I understand, I respect it's the business sometimes, most of the time. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's great advice because just like anecdotally, I've spoken to many teachers who've had problems with behaviour or learning special learning needs from students, and they've raised it with their management, but because their management doesn't want to maybe embarrass the parent, wants to hush it up, just wants no trouble,
it's
they don't do
true.
anything, and
And then
yeah, and then that's great
something
advice
happens,
to actually
and
document
then
it and
something
say, look,
happens.
I tried. This is what I did on this day and this time.
Absolutely, because this problem just keeps brewing, brewing until it just cannot and just explodes, and something happens with the child, either an accident or some mishandling and something. But actually, it could have been prevented day one when everybody, if everybody was willing to help, because this is the way we do it. But this is not the way we do it, unfortunately. And I have my share of being in that position with some sort like, but not always, but I'm just saying things happen, you move on, you learn if anything happens, but you got to protect yourself from that situation. So you got to be a little strategic about that. So document everything, talk about it, don't let it brew. That's all I'm saying. That's what I can say, I think.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Daisy, for sharing. I hope if you guys want to talk more with, if you are interested in doing the same, Daisy, participate, be a special education teacher, you can go and on LinkedIn and I just send you can find the link in the chat. Thank you so much for coming, Daisy, today. That was a great pleasure to have you with us, talking about a subject that we do not, it's almost taboo.
Absolutely.
You have to face it. Kids are all the same, whether they're disabled or not. They are kids, and we need to care of them. And really, you are someone very courageous and
Mhm.
very. It's incredible and I hope that we can do another live. To understand, because even if in teachers in China we have disabled kids in the classroom and we don't know, nobody is saying, "Oh yeah, he is disabled." That's all. That's all what we know, and nobody is
This
telling us what to
podcast
do.
was for hours for sure.
Exactly. And there are, I know that they have different behaviors according to their disabilities. So, yeah, I think it's something that it is really important. And I would like to say thank you to you again for your time, sharing your experience. And it's all for the good sake of our students, our
So much,
kids,
and it just
for
puzzles me why it is like when I hear this, I'm like, really? I thought everybody was thinking like that. This is, I really hope to hear, there, and there are more people, of course. I know there are more people, but I want this to be changed. Like this is something we need to change. Like what
It
exactly
has
you're
to.
saying. It has to. Like there's no other way because this is not working, and it is a problem brewing problem. So it's the same thing. We need to change this, and it is so simple. There are ways to do it. Why are we like
Oh,
just keep it? Why do you want to keep doing it the wrong way? There's a better way, an easier way. This is the harder
ex-
way.
like my father is an old teacher, and he was always saying, there's a problem, there's always a solution. So
Exactly.
uh, I'm sure there are solutions out there, but we have to face the problem. Some school have to really care more about their student than their money. I think it's
Yeah,
very important,
you
especially in
said it.
China.
Okay,
Well,
great.
I don't know, maybe in the world of education where you have to, tuition
Everywhere, by the way,
fees, yeah,
it's just
it's
for
everywhere.
correction, everywhere. It's not like a country issue. It's just like the people issue, but it's
Right.
everywhere. So
Exactly. Great.
yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm not gonna
Thank you guys.
retain you more. Thank you so much, Daisy, for coming. Hope to see you
Here.
soon. Wish you all the best for your masters.
Thank you. Yes, it's
Success.
so much fun learning. So I think I'm safe. I'm okay. Nice seeing you, Stu, too. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mike.
nice
And
to meet you,
thank you for
Daisy.
inviting me.
I'll send you over a message on LinkedIn. We'll have to connect.
Please,
All
I would
right.
like
We give it that.
All right.
Thank
Looking
you so
forward to
much.
connecting with everyone. Have a good night. Take
Bye bye,
care.
Daisy.
You too.
Cheers. That was an awesome
How
one.
cool
Thank
was
you,
that?
Stu, as well. Yeah.
I learned so
We've
much.
learned,
I just learned. I've been teaching for 21 years. I've over
me
those
too.
decades, I've had tons of kids with special needs, and like,
Exactly.
I think this
So
is
that
this is something that every teacher, no matter if you're an art teacher, you're a science teacher, you're whatever, you should have a knowledge in this area. And this is a big failing on my part. I've never, over all those years, I've never really done any PD on how to look after special needs students, and I'm going to make that a priority.
exactly. Thank you so much, guys, in the live for being so active and asking questions to Daisy. Make sure to likes and subscribe, and also go to uh, Stu's channel, Tefl Lemon. Anything happening on Tefl Lemon on YouTube?
Yeah, so basically, yeah, I've got a big project underway, and next month I'm going to be launching a free 50-hour TEFL course
Wow,
for teachers for professional
nice,
development. It won't cost anything, and you'll learn about yeah, I'm going to
nice.
learn about supplementary materials, language games, classroom management, lesson planning techniques and tips, how to teach speaking and writing, and also how to teach vocabulary. Completely free course, great for professional development. You get a certificate at the end.
Great. Thank you so much, Stu, for your time, for coming today. That was a good one. We learned a lot of stuff, and and I feel like I need to learn more again every time. It's always good to learn about know a little bit more about special education. Thank you, Stu.
Cheers,
I'll
mate.
see you maybe in April then.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks, so yeah, I'll be back around mid-April. Back with a bang.
Great. Thank you so much, Stu.
Yeah.
Wish you all the best. Take care, and we're gonna leave all together. Thank you for watching on Instagram, on Facebook, all the platform. Thank you so much. Hope to see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe and to share to help the platform. We'll see you in another live, the ESL live stream, your live stream, the teacher's live stream. See you guys. See you, Stu. Bye bye.
Yeah, right.
Don't turn it off, bro.
I'm not touching anything.
No, I'm kidding. Cheers, man. Thank you.
I pressed the button last time.
Yeah, yeah. Last time I was going on talking, I was like, oh, it's
Going
done.
perfect because
Okay, all right.
I quit thinking I would leave, and I
Because
just stopped it for
be,
everybody.
because you are a co-host, so you can also end the
I
live
really,
whenever you want.
yeah,
All
I completely forgot.
right.
Take care, guys.
Cheers. See you, everyone. Thank you so much.
In the classroom, we come together as one, learning lessons, reaching for the sun. Different stories, but with a common goal, building bridges, filling up our soul. Every student matters, every dream takes flight. Together we'll shine, we'll reach new heights. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, in the school we're united, we're all one. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, in the school we're united, we're all one. In the classroom, we come together as one, learning lessons, reaching for the sun. Different stories, but with a common goal, building bridges, filling up our soul. Every student matters, every dream takes flight. Together we'll shine, we'll reach new heights. In the classroom, we come together as one, learning lessons, reaching for, oh yeah, different stories, but with a common goal, building bridges, filling up our souls. Every student matters, every dream takes flight. Together we'll shine, we'll reach new heights.